Probably the most interesting rookie that the league has offered us this season, Arber Xhekaj, aka Wi-Fi, has had an amazing story to tell. His unique path to the NHL has captivated many with its unique flair. In this video, we're going to go over 5 facts that you probably didn't know about the Habs defenseman. And with that, here are 5 facts about Arber Xhekaj that you never knew. Whenever Xhekaj made his rookie debut, NHL fans were skeptical as to how to pronounce his unique name. I was always last on the attendance list at school, and teachers would always ask me how to say my name. I've gotten Xhekaj, Xhekaj, that everyone thinks it is, Xhekaj recalls. The unique name originated from Albania, which is where Arber's father, who goes by Jack, fled from over 2 decades ago. And it just so happened that Arber's mother was also seeking refuge from her home, which was the former Czechoslovakia. To see him start a life again like my mom, from absolutely nothing, it's amazing, Arber says. The two met at the Sheraton Hotel in Hampton, Ontario. Introduced by a mutual friend, the two hit it off and later started a family of their own. Since Arber had 3 siblings as well, his father went against the reason of his friends and signed his oldest son up for hockey. The Albanian community, they like soccer. I put my kids into hockey. They thought I was crazy because hockey is a very expensive sport, he says. Looking back today, however, it's not Mr. Xhekaj that we have to thank for pushing the young Arber to pursue hockey, but rather the missus, as his mom, Simona, wanted her son to play the same sport she predominantly knew back home, and the one her brothers grew up playing. It was a big thing in Czech for them to be playing hockey, Arber reveals. Her brothers played hockey, and her dad always brought them to the ice rinks in the winter. She loved hockey, so she said, there's no way he's not playing hockey. I remember when I started, I was always crying and trying to get off the ice. I was like, no, I don't want to do this. But she was like, there's no way. He's going to be a hockey player. And that's what she told my dad, he says. Therefore, if you're a Montreal Canadiens fan or just a Xhekaj fan in general, be sure to thank Mama Wi-Fi if you happen to see her about. Despite playing AAA hockey in Hamilton and Toronto, however, Arber realized that he wasn't attracting the attention of OHL scouts. Everyone was talking to OHL teams, Arber recalls. I think we had 8 or 9 guys drafted, and I was like, I'm not talking to anyone. One reason for this, looking back, the Hamilton Spectre suggests that it could have been his size because he was listed at 5'9". Anyways, from there he went down to hone his craft a bit in Junior B, directly after, while suiting up for St. Catharines Falcons. At 16 years of age by that point, and hitting a growth spurt, the defenseman began to cement a reputation for himself as being one of those guys you just don't want to mess with, as his size was quickly beginning to match his playing style quite well. And according to an article by The Athletic, it was around this time during the 2017-18 season that he had finally captured the attention of an OHL team. Kitchener's head coach and GM Mike McKenzie began to appreciate Xhekaj's aggressiveness and tenacity. And along with his size and physicality going for him at the time, Arber also recorded 23 points in 57 games played. In result, Xhekaj was invited to the Rangers training camp that took place in the fall of 2018. In between the time that Xhekaj moved up to the OHL to the NHL respectively, the defenseman was between a rock and a hard place, meaning that due to COVID-19 protocols that were put into motion, this stopped the 2020-21 season from commencing for OHL players entirely. Since he didn't want to miss out on precious development time, he decided to take part in a program led by Montreal Canadiens scout Mac Turek called Team Turek Hockey. But to do so, Arber needed a way to come up with the money. And that's where Costco came in. Now, in case you're living in a part of the world where there's not a Costco, or my home state of West Virginia, for example, they're wholesale type stores where you can buy just about anything. I've also heard they have great hot dogs, even though I have yet to visit one. Anyways, Xhekaj did a little bit of everything, stocked shelves, retrieved carts, and ran the cash registers. However, despite being liked by coworkers, he had the habit of running late, due to hockey being his first priority. Xhekaj recalls why his manager chose to ultimately let him go. I did have a lot of lates because I was coming from hockey. Yeah, she was mad that I had hockey and I wasn't making Costco more of a priority. I don't think she fully understood what level I was at, he says. In result, Arber shifted to helping his brother construct tennis courts as a means of income from there. And now a quick reminder for each and every one of you to stay hydrated. To save 20% off your order on liquidiv.com and to get free shipping, simply use my code AlyssaHope in all caps. Link will be below. And now, back to the video. After things got closer to normalcy in Canada, Xhekaj found himself being traded from the Kitchener Rangers to the Hamilton Bulldogs. Led by current Anaheim Ducks forward Mason McTavish, the team went on to capture the Memorial Cup, with an impressive 16 points notched in 18 postseason games. The defenseman was hoping to be noticed by NHL scouts thereafter. Unfortunately though, Xhekaj went undrafted yet again. A few teams expressed interest in inviting Xhekaj to their camps, including the Florida Panthers. I was actually going to go to the Florida Panthers camp, Xhekaj recalls, and then I waited and then Montreal came around, he says. The Montreal Canadiens invited Xhekaj to their development camp thereafter. Not only was there the familiarity with Matt Turek, but also the fact that Xhekaj's father was a huge Habs fan throughout his childhood. Arber Sr. was a huge fan of Ty Domi due to his Albanian descent. But to go against the grain a little, he chose to cheer for Montreal instead. Arber Jr. recalls how it all played out. He started watching with his buddies, and he thought, so many guys are Leaf fans. Is there any other team that's Canadian that I could cheer for that the Leafs don't like? And it was Montreal. So he's like, I'm a Montreal fan, and I'll be a Montreal fan my whole life, he says. Little did he know, his son would be representing his favorite NHL franchise years later. Now, while we've covered a lot of topics that were touched on during Xhekaj's piece he did for Sportsnet, this part of his story hasn't largely been talked about. Growing up with parents that are immigrants may have caused Arber to feel estranged at times from his peers. However, once he became affiliated with the Montreal Canadiens franchise, well, that all changed. After the Habs claimed fellow defenseman Jonathan Kovacevic off of waivers, the former acquaintances became fast friends. Similarly to Xhekaj, Kovacevic also has parents that immigrated to Hamilton, Ontario, in search of a better life. His mother, for example, arrived in Canada as an 8-year-old after living in Bosnia without electricity or running water. Both NHLers' parents raised their sons to appreciate the value of hard work and perseverance. Xhekaj's father was able to find work in a welding factory, while Kovacevic's in a steel mill. That's the story for a lot of people from Hamilton, Kovacevic says. The steel mills and being steel workers gave them life. I think that's an honest, hardworking living, and you can kind of see that in the city. The character of the city has depth to it, he says. And it was in Hamilton that the pair first became acquainted while skating together during summers. They were even D partners one year in a summer league as well. Despite this though, the duo didn't form that type of bond worthy of a bromance title. But after, when they both became official teammates years later in Montreal, they became inseparable. When they're not sticking together on ice as D partners for the Habs, the two can be found chatting it up, whether it be in the locker room after practice or following morning skates. The teammates are now officially bros. I knew Arber from back home, so naturally I kind of gravitated towards him, Kovacevic says. And then I think we just get along well. We both take hockey serious, we also have fun with it too, he says. Kovacevic, who is known as having more of a laid-back personality naturally, has jived with Xhekaj's more bolder, outgoing nature. He just kind of lightens the mood, and it's easy to laugh along with him. It's also easy to give it back to him. He's a good sport about it, so he just makes things fun around the room and on the road, everywhere. We spend so much time together, you might as well have fun with each other, Kovacevic says. In conclusion, as I mentioned, Xhekaj's story is just infectious. It has all the elements that honestly could work pretty well in a Hollywood film. Adversity, hard work, and triumph. One neat thing that I didn't mention is that his younger brother Florian has been following in his brother's footsteps, as a forward is currently suiting up for the Hamilton Bulldogs. Therefore, as we keep an eye on Arber as he finishes his rookie season, it's important to note that he might not be the only Xhekaj to make it up to the NHL.